in India, in the year 1811 in India, there was a report issued by the East India Company. And this report said that there were 732,000 schools, gurukulams in India. At the same time, in England, the first school was established in 1811. So you can look at our educational system and its history and how far back it goes compared to the British education system. Now we are running after behind the British education system, but we were functioning very efficiently and very well before the British came. The second point, which might look not related to the first point, but actually it is the fact there is a gentleman by name Angus Madison. I think he is an American. He made a big study about economy of various countries for the last 2000 years. He went all the way back to 0 AD. And he came up with a startling conclusion that in the first 1500 years or almost 1700 years of civilization, there were only two countries which were number one and two constantly. There were no other countries even in the top two. And those two countries were India and China. So if you look at the economic well-being, not only we had one Gurukulam for every village in India, but we were also the number one educational, the number one industrial nation with the highest GDP in the whole world. So our education system couldn't have been that bad if we were going to be the top country in the world. What the United States is today, we were there 300 years ago, 250 years ago. India was the as powerful as the United States is today. People from China and Southeast Asia and all these countries were coming to our colleges, our schools to study, and they would earn for their entire life. People would earn for their children. They would save up the entire during their entire life so that children could come to India and get a good education. So our education system, which was developed by our famous rishis, couldn't have been that bad that if we were the number one country in the world, surely we must have been doing something right. So we want to go back to a situation where we are teaching based on our education system and not the education system which was designed to bring up clerks for the British East India Company. So we want to take a look at our trust has given us direction to establish schools in the Bharatiya tradition and not in the British tradition. We are not after marks. We want people not to be focusing on marks, but on overall intellectual and character development. So that is the whole framework with which we are starting the school. So we actually have a school today, which is based on the current educational system. It's called the Ramaratnam Nursery and Primary School, but we are closing that school because that school, although it is running very well, but that is not the kind of system we want to have. We want to have a system which is based on Sanskrit, which is based on Tamil, which is based on our Bharatiya knowledge systems. So that is the whole purpose of this. And one of the first things we did was we looked around to see who is running good schools in this kind of format. And we found that one of the best schools we could find was the Anadi Foundation. And they are running excellent schools, one in Payani and one in Hyderabad. So they have experience for the last 5 years of running schools on the Bharatiya model, And we went and talked to these children, and we were very impressed with their overall positive attitude, their interest in learning, and their overall development. So we are doing a collaboration with them, and they are helping us uh, develop this system. So with their support and help, we are proceeding with this. Um, I think Anantalakshmi, madam, you might want to jump in and talk a little bit about the school and the curriculum.
Namaste, everyone. Very happy to be in your presence. And Anadi Foundation is very happy to collaborate with this time-honored institution, Madras Sanskrit College. The trustee of the institution is here with us today. Shri Ramesh Mahalingam ji is here with us today, who just spoke. And it's a very great legacy that Madras Sanskrit College has. And as Anadi Foundation, we feel honored, privileged, and excited to be part of this initiative. My name is Ananta Lakshmi, and I am the co-founder of Anadi Foundation. Our ashram is located near Palani in Tamil Nadu. We started the foundation in 2015, and we have been running the foundation, which is an ashram. We have a Gurukulam and Goshala as well there. And in 2021, we started what is called the Anadi Dharma Gurukulam, which is children's curriculum for the age groups from 11 onwards. But then to serve children younger than that, we started the Swadharma Gurukulam, which is for ages 6 to 10 in Hyderabad. And we also started Bala Gurukulam, which is for ages 3 to 5 years of age, which is a preschool again in Hyderabad. And when we met people at Madras Sanskrit College, there was a lot of matching synergies, and we felt that this is important initiative in Chennai. Chennai has excellent schools, but most of them align with the larger CBSE curriculum, or as Sir mentioned, they align with the Samachiyar Kalvi, which is the Tamil Nadu curriculum. All these curriculums are good. They seem to be serving a certain purpose. But there are no schools which are completely based on the Indian knowledge systems or a paramparic education, though some schools have successfully integrated in terms of chanting, yoga, and other things. Based on our experience running the Gurukulams in the past few years, we felt that this will be an important initiative in Chennai. So we will go into the presentation. I will present the larger context, just what Sir mentioned a little bit about the Angus Madison report and Professor Dharampal's work, and then go into the details of this particular Gurukula and or the Vidyalayam. And towards the end of this, we will have question and answers. And I request Sir also to pitch in wherever there are some comments or something that you want to add. Give me a moment. So as you are all aware, we already had one open house in February, on February 16th, and it was quite a success. We had a lot of parents come, very curious about the Indian knowledge system based Vidyalayam that is to start in the Madras Sanskrit College campus. And there were a lot of question and answers, especially in terms of how would the child get integrated into the mainstream, which we will also have an opportunity to talk about in this presentation. So this is the report that Sir just mentioned, which is the Angus Madison report. You wouldn't expect such a report from a Western economist, for that matter, who always have a lot of pride in their own economic models. You would see that at some point in time, India and China, of course, used to contribute more than 20 to 30% of the world's GDP. You see the line here, the orange line, which is India. it is about 32 to 33%. Whereas in today's times, we don't see that kind of a contribution to the world's GDP. And when we talk about GDP, it means that it is the output, collective output of the nation in terms of whatever is produced as the nation. And if we had to contribute to more than 30% of the world's GDP, it means that we had a very functioning industry in place, skilled labor in place, a huge talent pool in place. It means also that there was a very highly functional educational ecosystem, not just a brick and mortar school, but in terms of vocational education, family-based education, community education, and of course, ashramas and gurukulas and many such things. And when we look at the really ancient systems, educational system that was prevalent in Bharat, when you look at the Itihasa Purana, we learn about Dronacharya, we learn about Vasishtha Maharishi, we learn about Durvasa Maharishi. In fact, Durvasa Maharishi, it is said that he was a walking university where he used to take with him more than 10,000 disciples wherever he goes. It means that it's a very large, diverse university that he used to have. So we have had this three-tier model of society where the Nagara is a hub of consumption, even just like today, city is a hub of consumption. But there were Gramas, which were the hubs of production, and the Vanas, or the Aranyas, very deep into the forest, which were centers of research, sadhana, tapasya, where this knowledge system was produced actually. So we had the very, very highly functioning and disciplined Gurukula way of learning in the Aranyas, deep into the forest, where it was undisturbed by the human population. And then the Vidyarthis would come to their gramas, where it was a production hub. So there were the various Varnas and Jatis used to live, participating actively in the economic growth of the nation. And then the cities, which were the centers of trade and commerce and consumption for that matter. So this three-tier society helped the society to function in a very, very efficient manner. We've had one of the most efficient systems in the world. And there is this book called The Beautiful Tree by Professor Dharampal. He is a Gandhian, and he named this book after what Mahatma Gandhi said in London in 1931. He said that the British administrators, when they came to India, instead of taking hold of things as they were, began to root them out. They scratched the soil and began to look at the root and left the root just like that, and the beautiful tree perished. So Professor Dharampal took the phrase, the beautiful tree, and referred it to the educational ecosystem of the country and how it perished because of the various policies that were prevalent at that point in time. So he meticulously analyzed the archival records which were there in the British libraries and the various correspondence that the British officials had in order to gain a clear picture of India's traditional ecosystem, educational ecosystem. He did this work in the 1960s, Professor Dharampal, by accessing the very, very early records of the British. But then, what were some of the key findings? Of course, at that point in time, when you compare, as Ramesh sir was mentioning, when you compare the British ecosystem with what was there at that time in India, the British education system, the Indian education system had more enrollments, better content, a superior pedagogy, more number of schools, covered all classes and communities, unlike the British education, which was only catering to the elitist population. The mass education system was not functional at that point in time. And more than 1,000 higher educational centers were prevalent throughout the country. So you see, you have Takshashila, Kanchipuram, Varanasi, Nalanda, and so many more education systems, universities and higher education systems, where people from all over the world used to come and learn the Bharatiya Jnana Parampara from us. But unfortunately, today we do see a huge flow of people traveling from India to abroad, wanting more opportunities, different kinds of courses and better educational opportunities. So what were some of the beautiful tree key findings? In fact, the school used to start at 6 a.m. and used to finish very late in the evening. Panchatantra, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Mahatarangini were also part of the curriculum. And children used to memorize dictionaries like Nighantas and Shabda Manjari, Vyakarana, all these used to be part of the memory processes. And high learning specialization was offered in astronomy, in medical sciences, Natya Shastra, ethics, metaphysics, and even law for that matter. Grammar, logic, astrology, mythology, lexicology, medicine, Vedanta, Mimamsa, Tantra, Sankhya, all these were part of the educational system at that point in time. And what did he find further? There are mention of Gurukulas and Patashalas, which were actually kept alive by the revenue contributions of the entire community, especially William Adams' reports talks about it. And the Bengal and Bihar regions alone had more than 1 lakh schools. It means that every village had a school, in fact. And you would see that there was no village that was not that did not have access to education system. Unfortunately, today we talk about gross enrollment ratio being low, the participation of women being low, and the girls being low, and education not being available in certain villages. But you would be very surprised if you read The Beautiful Tree. I would strongly recommend anybody who's interested in IKS education to start with The Beautiful Tree. It's available on the internet as a PDF. When you read it, you will find that all communities were part of the education system. Women were very much, girls were very much part of the education system, and every village had access to education. Just that when you talk about education, we always imagine a multi-story building with certain facilities and all that. But it was very different at that point in time. There were community education. Education happened under a tree. It happened in the porch of the house. There were also full-fledged schools available, Vidyalayams available, Patashalas available. There were also Gurukulas where people used to go and stay and learn under the guidance of the Guru. So it was a very, very multimodal approach to education that was offered. But at some point in time, the Britishers set certain policies that said that your education system will be accredited only if you have a certain infrastructure. So if you need a certain infrastructure, it means you need money. If you need money, then it means you have to charge a fee. If you charge a fee, automatically there comes a divide between who can have access to education and who cannot. So you would see that at different points in time, the colonization has systematically destroyed the education system of India. So here, this is just a summary of the various aspects that are available in the book. I would definitely encourage you to read the book. So what has happened because of colonization? The focus on elite education became very high, accrediting only those institutions that had infrastructure. In fact, if you read the book, if you read the work called the Woods Dispatch, the document, in fact, there it would be written, one of the objectives of creating this particular education system was to be servants of the European offices. So you can imagine we still carry that colonial hangover that children, even children, we have gone through that colonial education, our children are still going through that colonial education. And the colonization also ensured that there is full control over universities, highly curtailing the freedom that the Indian education system or the acharyas of our system used to have. And standardized content, pedagogy, outcomes, and evaluation, all this was made by the British in order to create servant of the European offices. See, only if you have a standardization, you have control. Only when you have control, you have a population that will just listen to what you say, a servant mindset, and then serve a certain particular, office. The British neglected vocational and technical education, which could have aided industrial development in India. So a lot of this industrial development just got washed away because whatever raw materials were there, they were being exported to the British, Britain, and we had to buy goods from them. The entire huge industry was lost. In fact, there is a Varma Vaidya. There are marma points, right? Ayurveda talks about marma chikitsa. In Siddha, it is called Varma chikitsa. I was interacting with this Vaidya, and he said he belongs to a family of this Vaidyas. And when his forefathers used to practice Varma Vidya during the British time, some of them had their hands cut off so that this practice would not be followed. then you see that only the modern medical system is what is prevalent throughout the country. When you talk about Ayurveda, when you talk about yoga, when you talk about Siddha, it is all washed away, calling it pseudoscience. And even though we have very strongly demonstrated that they are able to handle the problems of modern society. And then the idea was also to model Indian universities based on what is in London. So obviously, it was a very elitistic model of education, and we still see the impact of this kind of an education. Right? So I would invite Ramesh sir to talk a few words about the Madras Sanskrit College, and then I will move on to the presentation. You're on mute, sir. Sir, you're on mute.
1 minute. I'm sure most of you would have heard about the Madras Sanskrit College. Our college was started in 1906, and the focus was to spread Sanskrit and promote and propagate Sanskrit and Indian knowledge system. So that was the whole focus right from the beginning. So we had started some schools which were mainstream, and we did not start them in the beginning, but we started them later on. And those were mainstream schools, and our objective was to teach Sanskrit in those schools. But as time passed, the Sanskrit went away in these schools. So now our trust committee is questioning why we are having schools where we are not even teaching Sanskrit, and these are mainstream schools, when we should be teaching our original authentic Bharatiya system of education. So that is the whole thinking behind this thing. So this school will be set up in our campus, which is a 2.5 acre campus, and the college is in the front, and we also have a Kupusami Shastri Research Institute, and we have the Savitri Ammal Oriental High School. All these institutions, they share the campus along with us. So the whole the campus is a web of activity, and it has got a very high environment of bhakti and jnana. As Mahapariva stayed in our college premises for 3 times during his lifetime, and each time he served there, he stayed there for 4 months. And just by his stay in our college, it has made our college a very holy place. So we venerate our building and our campus, and children will be lucky to study in our campus. So that is one of the reasons why we wanted to start it in this campus. Okay, Madam, may I continue?
How very true. It is indeed a blessing to be able to step into the campus and then be in the presence of the or in the divine energy of that place. I know, I'm sure any child who is part of the campus would be benefited in ways that are not visible to the naked eye, or to the conscious, to the mind, in fact. As I told about Anadi Foundation, we started in 2015 for Loka Sangraha, and we also have 3 Gurukulams, and we also have a well-defined curriculum for different age groups. We've also created various Indian knowledge system books, and more than 15,000 students across the country in the past 1 year have been using our IKS books. We have MOUs with various higher education institutions to offer IKS-based courses on Indic approach to well-being, on Bharatiya Ganita and astronomy, and many of these Indian knowledge system courses. My husband and I also teach at IIT Delhi on yoga, cognition, and well-being. And very happy to note the interest among the youngsters. More than 300 students register for these courses every semester, or at least 150 to 300, I can say. So that way you see that there is a growing interest in the community towards Indian knowledge systems. The government a few years ago also set the Indian knowledge system division, which is supporting many of these institutions, especially research. And when you look at the NEP, there is also a mention of integrating Indian knowledge systems into the curriculum. Every higher education institution has to integrate it at least at 5%, and every school should impart the knowledge of India through videos, through books, and all that. So a lot of efforts are going on at the government level, at the society level, at the samaja level, at the sarkara level. So it is also important that at the citizenship level, as the parent community, it's also our responsibility to sort of take this forward to the next generation. Anybody who sort of comes to our gurukulams, whether it is the day school or whether it is the residential curriculum, the first thought that comes to their mind is that I have not been part of such an educational ecosystem. Not just to do with our gurukulam alone. Any gurukulam that is functioning in today's you can say, a very tough ecosystem. Parents have this feeling that, okay, I've been denied, or I've never had access to this education, and now it is time for my child to go through this education. So whoever has been part of these gurukulams, they've seen that over a period of time, they've also been able to overcome their insecurity or fear as to how their child will fare in this particular ecosystem. Right? So these are some of the concerns which we will take up towards the end. So why are Vidyalayam? As I told you, as we showcased in the video at the beginning, the Vidyalayam is based on the Panchakosha, which is taken from our Upanishads, the Taittiriya Upanishad. The Panchakosha include Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya Kosha. The Annamaya Kosha is to do with the physical dimension with respect to the food that we eat. Whatever is sustained because of the food that we eat is the Annamaya Kosha. And of course, the various activities that we do. So, Achara and Ahara. The Pranamaya Kosha is the sensory and vital dimension. The prana basically helps us to move our arms, speak, and then function in this reality, right? That's why we say when the prana leaves, when somebody dies, we say the prana has left. So basically, what keeps us alive, what keeps us energetic, it is like the electricity that lightens the bulb, right? The bulb is the Annamaya Kosha. The Pranamaya Kosha is that electricity which helps the bulb to function. The Manomaya Kosha is the emotional component, which is basically all our thoughts, all our feelings, our preferences, the likes and dislikes and everything. The Vijnanamaya Kosha is the intellectual dimension, which is the cognitive dimension in terms of the memory, in terms of the thinking process, the decision-making process, attention capabilities, language learning capabilities, and so much more. The Anandamaya Kosha is the essence of who we truly are. It is the spiritual and aesthetic dimension. So whatever curriculum we have designed as part of this Vidyalayam will cater to all these koshas. And if you look at the contemporary educational ecosystem, the child goes through 45 minutes of, say, English, math, sciences, EVS, and all that. 45 minutes of constant context switching. And then in the whole week, the child has access only to one period of physical education or one period of value education, which is often taken away because other teachers cannot, finish the portions. So it is a certificate-based, it is a portions-based or a units-based education system, which is focused on cramming that content in the head of the child, right? But then we all know that we don't function well when we have to cram. We need the time to reflect. We need the time to play. We need the entire, a balanced approach to our own growth. So in the Vidyalayam, we will be focusing on a balanced approach of all these koshas. Every day, every week, the entire timetable, the schedule is designed in such a way that it caters to all the koshas, right? And there is a customized academic pathway to suit diverse learning needs, integrating traditional as well as contemporary or mainstream knowledge, as we call it now. And it is a unique pedagogy that is based on direct cognition, which is pratyaksha. There are different sources of knowledge, which is one of them is pratyaksha, which is direct cognition with the senses. All of us, when you reflect on the education system that we went through, We would have access to a lab only in 10th standard or 12th standard. Until then, it was all theoretical. We never got the opportunity to look at things, to touch things, to feel things, to connect with things. Many children, even now in the current education system, though a few schools have managed, largely go through this education where pratyaksha or direct cognition is often denied. Right? It is only theoretical knowledge which is based on conceptual frameworks which a child has to memorize or just cognize in their heads. So this in the Vidyalayam, we will have opportunities for all these things to be taken care of. Chanting, of course, is a very important part. I will tell you why it is important. Of course, unique assessment is there with respect to the Panchakosha. In fact, at our current curriculums and this Vidyalayam, we would be giving a report card which is based on the Panchakosha, and also emphasize on dharma, values, self-discipline, all this as part of the child's progress, tracking the child's progress. And what more do we need when it is located in the historic Madras Sanskrit College, offering an inspiring atmosphere steeped in heritage and learning? The curriculum, pedagogy, and open schooling exam certificates will make the Vidyarthi of the Vidyalayam comfortably eligible for all higher education pathways and integrate easily with mainstream education. In fact, 1 or 2 days ago, there was a clarification which was given that all open schooling students, NIOS students, can very well take up the NEET exam and then have access to the medical education system as well, which was already there, but somebody had a doubt. And then in the past 2-3 days, the court also cleared that. So you see that the open schooling curriculum opens up a plethora of possibilities without having the constraint of the cramming of content that is happening as part of the contemporary educational process. So here we have this Panchakosha development, which I just mentioned. And what are the various aspects of the Panchakosha development? The Vidyarthis will have access to asana bhyasa, Ayurvedic frameworks, yogic understanding and awareness of the Sharira, which is the main instrument by with which the child interacts with the world, and building of appropriate samskaras and shaucha. The Pranamaya Kosha is, we will have pranayama and various games to enhance the lung capacity and the brain development, and lot of activity for the sensory and motor nerves to develop in a very, very balanced manner. Manomaya Kosha, of course, not just with fellow human beings, not just with other Vidyarthis, there will be enough content to encourage positive interactions with all the relations of the family members, the extended family, the friend circles, and of course with plants and animals for that matter. For example, in our residential Gurukulam, every child has access to one cow. So a good amount of time they spend in the Goshala, and that is a transforming experience. So here, as part of the day school as well, maybe once or twice in a month, depending on how much we are able to do, children will have access to a Goshala, understand the life process of a cow, and of course, interact with the cow in various ways. The Vinyanamaya Kosha is to do with the cognitive development. The entire content is designed to ensure that there is a very sound cognitive development that happens. And in terms of Anandamaya Kosha, there'll be Japa, Seva, Nama Sankirtana, and of course, frameworks from larger philosophical systems to bring a sattvic experience of life with respect to the child. Right? There will be a lot of arts and theater and simple. In fact, recently, one of our Gurukulam, groups of children showcased the what you can call the puppet show at various literary fest. In fact, I just returned from the Kumbh Mela. We had a Kendra in the Kumbh Mela, and our Gurukula children also got to showcase the puppet show in the Kumbh Mela. So that way you see that it's a very, very multi-dimensional growth that the child goes through. So what are the subjects taught as part of the Vidyalaya? You have Sanskritam, which is a very, very key component, Tamil, Ganita, and contemporary maths. Ganita, when I say Ganita, it means that it is Bharatiya Ganita, which is a combination of Vedic math and Ganita from various source texts, including texts like Leelavati, Bija Ganita, Ganita Kaumudi, many such things. Ayurveda and contemporary sciences, the child will become very, very self-aware of the body through frameworks of Ayurveda, understanding Vata, Pitta, Kapha, understanding the various foods that they eat and the impact or that the food creates on the body. So simple things like when you eat pepper, it's difficult to decode it using the lens of protein, vitamin, carbohydrates, and all that. You don't know how much each one is there in say a pinch of pepper. But the moment you put pepper in your mouth, you feel that karam. You start a bit of sweat is there, and then there is a heat increase in the body. This is pratyaksha. Pratyaksha, you can actually organize the change that pepper just brought into your system. So the child will have exposure to this pratyaksha jnana in terms of how food impacts their system and what is the kind of food that they can avoid. It will not be a prescriptive thing. Okay, don't eat this, don't eat that. Then there'll be numerous things that you will have to talk about. But when you give the fundamental frameworks, children themselves start reflecting. In fact, we had an open house where I had invited parents of the current, Gurukulam to talk about it. And one parent was sharing how their child, after going through this education, has weaned away from a lot from the junk food that they eat. So you would see that there are few problems that currently children go through. One is, of course, junk food. The other one is, endlessly scrolling through mobile or you can say gadgets, right? And gone are the days when children were exposing themselves to say something like Tom and Jerry or a cartoon or something children's music. But now children are accessing actually reels and shorts as early as 2 years of age, 2.5 years of age, and then that leads to serious cognitive challenges, and they need to be weaned away from this. Then we need larger and better frameworks if you have to wean them away from such content, right? Yoga, every day there would be an hour of yoga, which is a completely playway method, but over a period of time, a lot of flexibility is developed in the body. Nakshatra Vidya, which is astronomy. Children will be taught how to observe the various patterns of the grahas and nakshatras in the sky, which also enhances their observational and mathematical capabilities. English and communication are very much part of this. Itihasa Purana, bringing values. Chanting will be a very core component because chanting builds memory. Arts, crafts, and music, traditional games, self-reliance, and global skills. All these will be part of the subjects that we teach. Of course, Sanskritam, it has a lot of neurocognitive benefits. Ganitam, it builds the innate ability to model problems mathematically. So when you look at Bharatiya Ganita, or when you say, for example, when we look at the way we learn, or even a child today is learning contemporary mathematics, there is always a problem which is given in the question paper, solve for X, and the child has to just solve for X, right? But when you look at texts like Leelavati, none of the problems are just solve for X or calculate the value. There is always a context that is present, a real world context that is presented to the child. So what happens is that the child has a better capability to model the real world in terms of mathematical problems and solve it. So whether it is a simple billing problem or a complex problem like calculating the area of a polygon. So any shaped room, they will be easily able to sort of calculate the area, or be it a higher geometry problem, they would be easily able to solve by memorizing the sutras. So in the Bharatiya tradition, there is something called the Parikarmashtakam, which are 8 operations that the child needs to learn by, say, for example, 12 years of age. So that includes addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and of course, square root, cube root. So you would see that the child who goes through this content in the Vidyalayam very soon will be able to calculate numbers, large digit numbers in a very short period of time. And Ayurveda developed the eye to sense one's own body and mind, and the knowledge of the Dravya Gunas, how to classify the reality around them in terms of plants, animals, living and non-living, whether it is a climber, whether it's a creeper, all this is part of Ayurveda. And what is the guna and karma of each dravya that they look at? If it is a tulsi, what is the quality of tulsi? And when we have tulsi, what function it performs in the body? All that they will be able to learn as sutras, chant them as sutras, and also practically demonstrate that particular knowledge. Nakshatra Vidya, of course, a lot of observation and measurement happens. Itihasa Purana, a lot of kathas will be told. a good map of all the characters that are popularly known in the Itihasa Purana will be brought. And this is the fundamental way to build samskaras in the child. If you tell the child, be honest, it's very difficult. The child does not know what is, first of all, honesty and how to action it upon whatever you prescribe. But when you tell them as stories, then vicariously the child learns how to be honest, how to be sincere, how to handle relationships, and many more such things. Yoga, of course, number of benefits, scientifically studied benefits are there. Over a period of time, concentration, focus, emotional well-being, all this will be built. So what is the pedagogy that we follow? One, of course, is experiential learning, which is pratyaksha jnana, chanting and memory techniques. And many a times in today's context, we don't talk positively about rote learning, right? We say that we should not rote learn, we should understand and learn it and all that. But then if you look at the Indian knowledge system, the core of the Indian knowledge system is to harness the memory capability of young learners. So when they are 8 to 12 years of age, they have very, in fact, younger also, they have very high memory capabilities. And if we have to harness this memory capability, we need to give them as many tools and as much content as possible. So a rigorous amount of chanting will be there in terms of learning the stotras of Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada or the other acharyas. Then you have the Bhagavad Gita and things like Panchakosha, and also together with verses from Ashtanga Hridayam, Leelavati, and other source texts. So that it's and Sankshepa Ramayana. So that way the child develops a good memory map of many of the Indic content. And over a period of time, when they start understanding the meaning, because they would be enabled in Sanskritam, it will be an easy flow for them. Of course, storytelling, speed calculation techniques, and many things that combine physical, emotional, cognitive, aesthetic dimension will be part of it. For all the subjects that Vidyarthis and the Acharyas of the Vidyalayam will be given books which will combine the concepts, activities, and reflection. There would be a vertical age grouping, 6 to 7 years, 8 to 9 years, and of course 10 to 10 and a half. But a large part of our admission will cater to 6 to 9 years or 6 to 10 years. And students admitted, of course, the admission age is 6 to 10 years. Once the student admits, they can complete their education here up to 12th standard. And in fact, we would be encouraging them to even go beyond 12th standard here, because there are a lot of online courses available online, or they can have access to the Sanskrit colleges, various higher education learning pathways as well. And what will be the certification that is provided at grade 3, grade 5, grade 8, grade 10, and 12? They would be taking up the National Institute of Open Schooling exam. So just a minute. What is NIOS? NIOS is a support system that has been created for home learners. It is just like CBSE. It's a very recognized board of education. And it also flexibility. It has the flexibility to cater to diverse learners, Pathashala learners, Gurukula Vidyarthis. In fact, students of Anadi Dharma Gurukulam, which we have in Parni, have fully benefited from the NIOS. In fact, 2 Vidyarthis who graduated just this year are pursuing their data science at IIT Madras and parallelly pursuing Sanskritam as well. So at different stages, the open schooling exam is conducted. Okay. So what is our assessment? As I told you, it's based on the Panchakosha. There will be oral assessment, written assessment, group presentation, and of course, artwork representing various topics. There would be periodic worksheets, monthly written and oral assessment, and major assessment 3 times in an academic year. A Panchakosha report will be available for the parents to look at. The schedule, 8:45 to 9 is Guru Vandanam. Then you have the various lecture sessions. And then you have yoga just before the lunch break, because we assume that the child will come having breakfast. So we don't want to have yoga in the first part of it. And then towards the end, there will be the chanting activity. And also there will be some opportunity to do seva in terms of just putting things in order in their own classroom, packing their own bag. And also over a period of time, they will learn self-reliant skills in order to maintain their own things. So for example, I often tell the parents, the way current students are studying in the regular schools, we say that, you don't have to do anything. You just focus on your learning. So even if they have to eat food, the mother just, we call it uti vidrathu, right? The mother just feeds the child is just learning the book. If they have to do a plate, then the mother is just doing the plate, the child is just learning. I even joke this, that even if a Jyotishi says, there needs to be the child needs to visit a Saraswati temple in order to for 11 days in order to get good marks. The parent will say, okay, I'll go to the Saraswati temple on your behalf. You just focus on the study, right? So we have gotten into this mode of doing everything for the child, not giving opportunity for the child to be self-reliant on certain aspects. So they don't know how to maintain their things, how to maintain their socks, their dress, whatever it is, right? So it will be a very, very, over a period of time, the children at the Vidyalayam will also learn self-reliance skills. A typical classroom session will be to do with first, absorbing and being still for some time, because being still is core to the Indian learning process, not fidgeting, not making noise, and all that. The first 10 minutes will be to do with chanting with respect to that particular subject. There will be concepts that are discussed, and the concept will be worked out through a lot of activities. Could be drawing, painting, worksheets, solving math problems, and all that. So what are the core outcomes that we expect? Demonstrable outcomes. Of course, there will be so many more unsaid outcomes that come out of this system. Of course, reading, writing, speaking, listening, computational skills with respect to English, Bharatiya Bhasha, and maths. Flexibility of the body, ability to chant various stotras, narrate stories, knowledge of various characters in popular Puranic stories, develop a Bharatiya Vijnana Drishti and curiosity, and also core domain-oriented concepts of Ayurveda, Ganita, Nakshatra Vidya, Yoga, and many more, even the philosophical systems for that. And also understand various thalas, vahanas, the devatas of that particular sthala. For example, if it is Kapalishwara Kovil, they need to understand the Sthala Purana, the Sthala Vriksha, what is the structure of a temple in South India, and why do we go to a temple? So all this will be built as samskaras, as concepts, as values in the child, right? And of course, contemporary science and math will be integrated with it as it is defined by the National Education Policy 2020. And other aspects of the Vidyalayam, the function from Monday to Friday, uniform will be kurta and pajama. Of course, there will be no shoes and socks that they need to wear. Normal, footwear is enough. One snack in the morning can be sent. Lunch also should be brought from home. A blend of Hindu and Gregorian calendar will be followed, and relevant festivals will be observed. And major holidays, of course, will be in the Pongal and summer break. So what are the various steps here? You would see you need to fill the interest forms. They attend the open houses. One is, of course, scheduled on March 16th at the campus. Bring the child along. And we also look at the interest and aspiration mainly of the parents towards IKS. And if grandparents are the decision makers also in your family, you also look at the orientation of the larger family as well. And learning abilities of the child, simple reading, writing, and interactions are checked during the open houses. And institution sends a confirmation mail. Parents acknowledge the admission, and Vidyalayam starts in the first week of June, just like any other school. So with this, I come to the end of this presentation. Now, I'll be happy to take questions. Parallelly, as I'm taking questions, I would also invite you. I have put a form in the chat box, which I will paste again. I would request all people in this meeting to fill this particular form. This is the attendance for this particular meeting. And I definitely, because many of you have joined from the links directly, so I'm not aware of whoever is here. So I need your details here, requesting you to kindly fill up this form over here. So now the meeting is open for questions. And we also have Vidyaji here, who will be coordinating various academic activities of the Vidyalayam. She is very much in Chennai, and she's been with Anadi offering various IKS based programs for children. She also runs an IKS Kendra and many more such initiatives. She's part of. We have Vidyaji.
Yeah, namaste.
Namaskaram, madam. This is Ram Mohan here. Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir, please.
Ma'am, my daughter is 13 years old. She was in a traditional school, and then we pulled her out 3-4 years ago, and we've been doing homeschooling. And my wife is a Sanskrit scholar. She's also on this call, and we've been trying to inculcate this. I saw that your admission, this thing is you take the children only till the age of 10. Would my daughter be a potential candidate at your school?
As much as we would love to take older children, the current age group is only from 6 to 10 because some of the content in terms of Ayurveda, Ganita has to be started from the beginning. But what I would encourage you to in any case fill the the interest form in case you haven't already, and also come to the open house. Though the preferred age is from 6 to 10, but since you've already been homeschooling, we would be very happy to meet you in person and then look at this.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Even if we cannot take your child right now, maybe in a year or two, as we go on, we will be adding higher and higher classes. Maybe at some point your child will be able to join us. Maybe not
Okay,
at the initial stage, but we'll keep the options open.
Okay.
Where do you live, sir, by the way? Which area?
We live in Sholinganallur.
Sholinganallur. Okay.
Somebody has asked about the 3.5-year-old child in the chat.
Yeah, 3.5-year-old, again, you might have to wait for a few years. In fact, in the previous in-person open house, we had a few children of very young age group. But of course, here we will be, the age group is 6 years, which is basically first standard. That would be the intake age group. And children can join up to the age of 10. Till what age can students join? Up to the age of 10. But then these children who join will be progressing across the age groups. They'll be progressing step by step within the Vidyalayam.
Yeah, hi madam. I'm Pratish. I think we met actually in person. I mean, one day before the previous orientation, if you remember, myself and my wife came and met me in person. Yes. Yeah, madam. So one question, because you mentioned, right, the age group for the admission is from 6 to 10, right? And also in this presentation, you mentioned about the vertical age grouping, right? So can you just help us understand, I mean, how it connects? Because why I'm asking is, like, for example, currently, of course, my our daughter is, I mean, completed 6 years, which is the perfect time to start according to your curriculum. But in general, I'm trying to understand because, for example, if you have a kid who is 10 years, right? He or she would have completed, say, maybe third or fourth standard by this time, right? And when they enroll to this curriculum, right? And even you mentioned like they can continue up to 12 standard. So will it like they will again come back to the first standard curriculum of this system and continue up to 12? I think the vertical age grouping that you mentioned, maybe you can throw some lights into it so that we can understand how it works actually. Sorry if it's a very basic question, but just wanted to clarify that.
So the idea of the vertical age group is that with respect to the contemporary knowledge system, the children would have different capabilities because you would have already studied first standard, second standard, and the math would be sort of will progress from there, or sciences, the modern science will progress from there. So you will be grouped accordingly. But when it comes to Indian knowledge systems, everybody is going to learn Sanskrit new, Ayurveda new, Ganita new, right? So everybody will start from level 1. But just that a child who is, say, for example, 6 to 7 years old, the approach to teaching Ayurveda or say Ganita will be very different from a child who is probably 8 or 9 years old. So it would be the same kind of topics. Their child will learn about say the basic addition operations and all with respect to the Bharatiya Ganita. But then they will go into very simple details when it comes to the first batch of students. It will go into a more detailed approach when it comes to older children. So everybody will start with the same set of topics, but the depth and the speed at which each age group will proceed will be very different. So that is how it is a vertical age group. So say, for example, if the child has completed 3rd or 4th standard, they will still study Ayurveda, Sanskritam, Ganita, everything from the basics because they don't have prior knowledge. But just that they will be capable of solving problems much faster than a 6 or 7-year-old child. So they would be progressing in the content much faster. And from wherever they start, they will be progressing to the next level in the subsequent years. So that is how it will be done. So there is no 1st standard, 2nd standard, 3rd standard concept here because nobody comes with the prior knowledge of whatever subject that we are teaching. So that's the idea.
My name is Lakshmi.
Yes.
I have first of all, thank you so much for introducing this in Chennai. It's a great effort and something we were wanting to happen. The question I had was just the reverse of the previous question. Most kids don't have a prior knowledge of the Indian knowledge system. So you may have to start from the basics. My kids are 9 and 10.5 years old. And they have been students of Sanskrit College Digital Campus for about 3-4 years now. My son has finished Praveshika 1 and 2, and my daughter has finished Praveshika 1 and she's doing Praveshika 2. So a little bit, thank you, sir. So they are a little bit advanced in Sanskrit. So I wonder, how they can integrate into the curriculum and how can, they start from where they left off rather than going from, from the basics.
So in some of our Gurukulams like Hyderabad and Palani, we've had children who came with prior knowledge of Sanskritam. So it won't look very childish for them to go back. Just that because the other subjects are there, which will something that they will learn very new, whether it is Ganitam or Ayurveda or whatever. So that will take care that the child does not feel that they are learning something simple and new and just starting from the basics. So it won't be so much of an issue because we can always find ways for them to progress faster. These classrooms will be small-sized classrooms. In small-sized classrooms in the sense, the number of students per class. So it won't be a problem to take them forward from where they left off because we have teachers who are very much part of the Sanskrit college who will be handling the various subjects. So that way,
yeah, we are familiar with some of the teachers there, so hoping some of them will help us, progress further. And two more questions I have, ma'am, if you don't mind. One is the teachers who will be on board to teach the kids. I'm just curious what they will be, qualified at, what is their qualification, and some background they may have, so we get an idea of how the classrooms are going to be.
Wonderful. Yes, wonderful question, Ji. So we have two teachers who are also researchers and current senior students, or in the sense pursuing their part-time degrees with the Madras Sanskrit College. We have Aparna Ji and Neeraja Ji. We also have Geeta Ji here with us, who has been trained in the Montessori way and also starting her IKS journey, so that will be smooth. She also can teach Sanskritam. We also have Vidya Ji here. Of course, her background is in insurance, but for the past few years, she's been focusing on Itihasa Purana and of course Ayurveda pedagogy as such. So she's very comfortable. So it would be a blend of teachers who have exposure to IKS, to Sanskritam, to the Montessori way of learning. So this would be the background of the people involved in this. And the time, and again, time to time, we would have visiting people who are more core related to various subjects who can pitch in and then do workshops and other things.
Last question, ma'am, about the library. Typical schools, they have a library and a library period. they can check out this, is that something
Yeah,
that is
all,
going to be available?
all this will be part of the
Okay.
time.
Okay.
So here I'll take up the questions in the chat box. What about admissions for 8-year-old boy currently in the US? It would be helpful if they come for one of the open houses because we need to meet the child at least once. Or if you can tell a period that they can come and visit, we can take it forward from there. Gayatri ji has this question. And conventional science, will it be taught from Ayurveda? Definitely it will be taught. And it will all be taught in relation to Ayurveda as well. And then also ability to take up the open schooling exam. To that extent, the sciences will be taught. So it would be a smooth transition. Do you have any provision for special kids in the Indic education way? At the moment, I can say that we aren't able to cater to special needs children purely because we are not trained at the moment. But this is something that is close to our heart. All the founders are also looking at it very keenly. If not today, at least at some point in time, we might be able to do this. So as of now, it might be difficult.
Good evening, ma'am. Me and my husband have a few questions.
Sure.
First, coming 16th interactive open house, would we get a chance to meet the teachers? Would they be coming there on the 16th
Yes,
of
ma'am.
March?
Yes.
Yes,
Most of the
definitely,
faculty will
definitely.
be available there. Okay. And second question is, if my daughter has never had, she's in the 4th grade now, and she has been, her second language is Hindi basically. So she is very new to Sanskrit. So would you be teaching her the Sanskrit from the basic level? Or how do you teach the child about, the languages?
It would be from the basic, ma'am, because the assumption is that the child will come with no prior Sanskritam knowledge. Of course, we just had another ma'am's children who have prior exposure, but largely the understanding is that they would have no prior exposure. So we would start from the script, in the sense words and all that, including the script. Of course, knowing Hindi has an advantage in terms of at least they know the Devanagari script. So that way it would be from the basics.
Okay, because in class, since she will be in grade 5, I think as per NIOS, she's supposed to give an exam. So since she's going to start from basic, will she be equipped to write the NIOS exam? If she has,
NIOS does not have Sanskritam as as a main paper, so we can leave out Sanskritam and write the other subjects, so it should not be a problem. Or include Sanskritam, it won't be so difficult. In fact.
One suggestion for those who are in the higher grade, since the school will be opening in June, we have another 3 months. Maybe if your child can take up our Praveshika course or even any of the other Samskrita Bharati courses and get a good working knowledge of Sanskrit before they even join. I'm talking about the higher level students who want to come to the higher level, children who are maybe 8, 9, 10. If they can study a little bit of Sanskrit and get a little advanced qualification, that will be helpful. It is not definitely not a requirement, but it will help their case individually themselves. They'll be helping themselves.
and how would you integrate the NIOS subjects into your curriculum? How do you integrate both your IKS based knowledge and the NIOS, and how do you combine both and teach the children? Could you just
So when you
elaborate on?
look at the Indic content, it is not very separate from the contemporary system because, for example, if you need to talk about Ayurveda, you need to anyway know the parts of the body, the various tastes and various foods and other things, which again, subsumes the modern science content. And if you teach Ganitam, anyway, they need to do various operations which is based on, some of this will be based on the modern math as well. So it would be a seamless integration. At the end of the day, at the end of the year, the child will know what the child needs to know, both from an Indic perspective as well as from the modern science perspective. So that it would be a smooth interaction of these two knowledge systems.
Ma'am, this is Siddharth. I had the privilege of coming to your Gurukulam in December. So both me and my wife were there for a couple of days. So we were very impressed, and we were just hoping that we were not ready to send our daughter to a boarding kind of a place, to be honest. And we were just hoping if there's some school like this around us. And it was a great gift that we were able to hear about you. So thank you for that. The only thing that I had in my mind, because when I went to your school in Palani, I was really impressed with the quality of the teachers. That was the first thing that struck more than of course, Indian knowledge system, and the experience was really nice. But the quality of the teachers there were outstanding, simply put. Could we hope for that kind of quality here? Is what I had in mind, ma'am.
Thank you for sharing wonderful words of appreciation, Ji. With all humility, Madras Sanskrit College has a great legacy, of Sanskrit education and all that. So a lot of the people that would be teaching are also part of the college, past Vidyarthis or current online Vidyarthis. So that way the quality will be, I mean, I don't want to use any word of comparison over here.
No, I'm just, to be honest, I'm not exposed, although we are in Chennai, I've been born and brought up, we are not exposed to the college, and I'm not exposed in a personal level to the faculty there. I was only exposed to the foundation. There was no sort of comparison sort of thing. I was just hoping that the quality will be as good or better, perhaps, whatever it is.
Yes, with I think Paramacharya's blessings, we are praying that it should be much better. Yes.
We will try to at least match the kind of teachers they have. We have a group of very passionate people who have enrolled as teachers, and with Anadi Foundation training some of these people, I think they can rise to the occasion, and I think you will have good teachers. We will try our best to make you happy.
Thank you, sir. I humbly accept that. I know. I don't know what to say. Thank you for that. Anyway, ma'am, one thing what I had, like when we study the NIOS and the IKS, would the student be a bit confused where to use where to use what in which place for an exam? Is that something that I shouldn't be thinking about? Is that a false?
It's not a problem, because like for example, I've lived in different states across India until I managed to learn about 6 to 7 languages, Bharatiya languages, and I've seen that the moment I land in a place, I know how to immediately context switch and use the language which is local to that place. So that way I've seen that even children have this ability, depending on the context they can do, just that they will be exposed to much better methods of solving problems. So that would come handy when it comes to even, like, say, competitive exams or whatever it is that they're going to take up in the future.
And just the last thing on the questions. So my understanding was the examinations will be on NIOS, and will there be exams on the IKS as well? I just wanted to understand that part.
The IKS evaluation will be more internal. The NIOS will be external in the terms that NIOS will be conducting the exams. So I would definitely encourage all of you to go through the NIOS website to just broadly understand the system. Of course, we are definitely looking for educational systems which are more aligned with the Bharatiya way. As of now, NIOS is the only thing that seems to be catering. But, so that's why I encourage you to go and look at this. I will just share some details about this thing. Yeah, in the meantime, if you have other questions, you can ask. I will share the NIOS link.
And
It's
thank you,
asked
sir.
about,
Thank you.
I think someone has asked about the parents not in Chennai, then what's the provision for stay? I think school is completely non-residential.
Non-residential.
No
Non-residential.
provision.
Non-residential.
He can stay with the grandparents or uncles, or maybe that would be the other option. Especially, for example, with the boy from outside India, those kind of situations. Those would be the options. We don't have the capability to have a resident institution.
Lakshmi ji has raised up her hand, please. What is the question?
Yeah. Can we preview IKS textbooks for higher grades? Surely some of the Anadi books will be available to see. Of course, the books that will go directly into this particular school are being prepared, but you will have a sample, to see for yourself, like, what could be the way the pedagogy and approach to IKS with respect to children. And before we go into other questions, I have posted the link for the Open Basic Education, which is the grade 3, 5, and 8 for NIOS. It is there in the chat box. And just a gentle reminder again for all of you to fill the form, the online form, which is basically for the online orientation that you're attending today. It is called the interest form, but definitely please fill this details, because that's the only way we can get back to you or talk about another open house, or have a conversation with you, or send you promotion material which you can forward to others. So please definitely fill this form. There is also a WhatsApp group, a link that is provided, which you can join, once you fill this form, because of which you can, through which you will get all the updates. Yes.
Yeah, Lakshmi ji has raised up.
Yeah, Lakshmi ji, you have a question.
Yes, ma'am. My question is, like, children are very different. That too, these days, most of the children, they are very mischievous, very active, and they are, quite very active. Like, if they are from the mainstream, or if they are directly coming to your school, I mean, getting admission there or something. Children are different kinds of children are there. How would you address those children? Each one of them, each of the child is different. Can you understand, ma'am, what I'm trying to convey?
So the Panchakosha framework itself sort of brings in, it captures the learning or the abilities of a child along multiple lines. So that way, when we capture in terms of the Panchakosha report card, the various activities of the child and all that, that would also bring a very differentiated approach in terms of how we cater to the diversity of the learners. So the Panchakosha framework itself is inherently factoring in this diversity of learners.
Okay. Then what are the teaching techniques that will be handled, ma'am? Something like, can I call it as like the pedagogical techniques? Say, for example, storytelling or drawing.
All
or
that is there.
painting.
As I presented in the PPT, I'm not sure whether you had joined at that time.
Actually, I joined a little late. Also, I had some network issue.
Just a minute. Just give me.
Like, is it kind of blackboard teaching, or how is that? This is a general question for all the groups.
It would be a blackboard teaching, of course, but there will be also a lot of chanting-based content, experiential learning, chanting and memory techniques, storytelling, math through speed calculation, and again, the Panchakosha framework in terms of the pedagogy. So this would be the approach. I would definitely encourage everybody to go through the website of the Vidyalayam.
Ma'am, Sangeeta here.
Yes.
I have a question. Actually, I went through Anadi Foundation, and I went through how your Palani curriculum looks like. So I just wanted to, I saw
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead, ma'am. We can hear
Yeah,
you.
so I saw like, students sitting under the tree and learning. So do we have all such provisions in the Sanskrit college?
Like
See, each sthala will be
and
different, depending on what is available. I'm not sure if you have visited the Sanskrit College campus. I would definitely encourage you to be part of the open house which we have on March 16th. It's such a beautiful campus, completely dedicated to the learning of the Shastras and Sanskritam and all that. It's a very divine atmosphere. So that way, I would say that, of course, physically you can perceive things which are different in different places. Like we might have a 9-acre campus with some trees and all that. But there are so many things that the eyes cannot perceive, and that's what I experienced in the Sanskrit College campus. So it would definitely be a very enriching experience. And of course, all this will be the Panchakoshic experience will be part of the learning process. So one need not worry about what is there or what is not there. The framework is holistic enough to be able to innovate based on whatever resources are available in each place.
I have one more question, sorry.
Yeah.
The thing is
Ramesh
like,
sir will just add to this and then you can go to the next question now.
we are staying in the UAE currently, and suppose if we want to come for the open house, is it mandatory for both the parents to come, or can we come at a later point of time and meet?
Open house, at least one parent and the child should come to the open house. That is our requirement. There might
Okay.
be more open houses, but I would recommend the March 16th one because many people also wait for our decision for them to take a decision with respect to the the school and TCs and fees and all that. Like they have to whatever the previous school that they're studying, they need to tell them, right? So that's why March is a good period when a decision can be made. So that is why we encourage. But of course, I'm thinking that there might be more open houses in the future as well. Yeah.
Okay. One more thing. What about, I mean, do we have a fee structure on this?
Yes. Yeah. So Ramesh sir, you want to?
We wanted to keep the fees fairly low. We are suggesting 25,000 rupees for the year as a overall fee structure. That will also cover uniforms and books. This is, I think, in a way, it's quite low, but our objective is not commercial. So we want to. Our focus is actually the learning and developing the children. That is our primary focus. So that is the. That is what we are thinking of at the moment.
Thank you, sir.
And the number of actually, initially it will be a little financial burden for us because the number of students is also going to be quite small. Initially, first year, we are only thinking of taking about 30 around students or so. And even at a later stage, our school is not going to be a very big school in terms of class size. We're not going to have 20, 30 students to a class. That is not our intention at all. We will have fairly very small class sizes where we can focus individually on the children and make sure that these children are thought leaders as opposed to looking at it from a financial angle. So this is the legacy of the Sanskrit College. We are not financially oriented. We are more quality and integrity oriented. So that is our thinking.
Thank you, sir.
Although if you are willing to contribute more, you are welcome to. We are not going to stop you.
Teacher in that term.
One question, one point I wanted to make also regarding your earlier suggestion. You were mentioning that you were comparing us to the school in Pioneer. We are right bang in the middle of a city, so we're not going to ever have a kind of atmosphere that you have in Pioneer. But we are trying to, nor do we have a Goshala. So those two things are definitely not going to be available. But we are trying to make comments. One thing we are looking at is setting up a small herb garden in the back of the school, and we want to give each class a section, a garden of their own, so that they can put their hands and feet on the soil. And that's a very important thing, to be in touch with nature. So we are trying to do that as a part of, we are trying to redesign our school building itself to accommodate certain things. So we will, on March 16th, I will be happy to share some of our plans regarding the school infrastructure. I think we have some work to do in terms of the next 2-3 months in order to bring it up to the level that we want for the school. So that's the point I wanted to make.
There is a question. Since this initiative has attracted interested parents living across
Yes,
Chennai,
put up her hand again, madam.
yeah, will there be transport? Just a minute, Lakshmi. Just a
Okay,
minute, Lakshmi.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So will there be? Oh, that is your question. Sorry. Will there be any transport at the moment? No, but a lot of people, when we see the interest form, seems to be quite a number of people from Sholinganallur area. So I would suggest that probably you can consider some kind of a transport pooling or something that will help you to manage this. This would be a self transport model that we would be following.
I have one question. Right now, my kids are studying in Rajakiripakam, Kanchi Mahaswami Vidya Mandir. And each class has like 40 students, so they get to interact with their peers, and there's a lot of fun they have in classrooms. And now the initiative we're going to have here is a small classroom for every level, right? So is there plans to scale it up in the near future, or we play it by the year? How does it? How is the progress planned for?
Let me answer that to the best of my knowledge. This is not going to be a big school. We are never going to have 40 people in the class. I don't think that is very conducive to good quality education. If our intention is to have a school of only maybe 100 students, maybe a little bit more, I don't think we're ever going to have a situation where there are 30 to or 40 to a class. It'll be only 10 or 15. I don't think we want to make it bigger than that.
Okay.
That is in the best interest of the child. We are looking at it from that standpoint only.
I think I understand. Just curious if the levels grades will get to mingle with each other to meet more kids during PT, physical education, or yoga, which is going to be across classes. Something like that might be helpful. So
there will be a lot of common sessions, especially yoga, chanting, the Guru Puja, and all that. So that way, they would be interacting across age groups, definitely. And class size is never going to be 40, as Ramesh sir is saying. We have seen that, having interacted with so many schools, and also they have an experience of running a mainstream school process. It's a burden on the system. Because you just have a huge group of children, and you're not sure who's learning it properly. So that will never be the mode that we would be adopting.
I completely agree with you. 40 students, it's very little learning that happens.
The scaling factor would be in terms of creating larger number of smaller systems, which are more personalized, which are more have the flavor of the Gurukula style of learning, but not within the same system. It won't be a huge.
Yeah. One question, sir. I think maybe Ramesh sir can add on that. So, sir, you mentioned, right? It's going to be, I mean, a max of say 100 or 150, right? Max you told, right? So, and even you mentioned, ma'am, in your presentation that we can continue up to 12th standard, right? So that means every year new set of students would enroll, right? So currently we are going to start with 30. So does that mean like from next year we will not have 30 students in that batch? Because if that happens every year over a period of time, the number of overall students would increase, right? So, and also, is there any kind of promotion criteria from one grade to another grade? I understand the exams would be only on first standard, third standard, the open schooling exams, right? So in general, will there be any kind of promotion criteria, or is it assured that the kid would automatically promote to the next grade? So these questions maybe you can clarify.
So when Ramesh sir mentioned 100 children, it means that it's a very organic process. There is no curtailing on the number of children we will be taking, but in a class, it won't be like definitely 40, 50 people. So that would mean the school will have like thousands of students. But this would mean that the school will grow organically, being choosy about who comes into the school. At the same time, maintaining a minimum standard in terms of the number of or the standard size of a classroom, but at the same time, including whoever is interested in this process. So there is as such no cap on the exact number we would take. When he gives a number like 100, it means that it's going to be an organic process, not a viral process of like including everybody into the system. So that's what he meant. So
as we add classes, then the number of students will increase. So we are going into the higher grades. Definitely the school strength will increase. That's what I meant when I said we'll go up to 100. It might be 150. I mean, I am just giving a rough number in terms of, but if you're looking at the individual class size, I don't think we want to cross more than 10 to 15 would be ideal. That's what we are targeting.
Okay, sir, thank you so much. Because I mean, for sure, we are optimistic that because the system is something that we're introducing now in Chennai, right? So it was an optimistic question. Like, for example, if we have one successful year of curriculum, right? So, yeah, I mean, we are optimistic that more students will come to know, more parents would come to know about the system, and I mean, there might be lots of inquiries on an optimistic note, right? So there is where I wanted to, understand how we are going to handle that, because it might be overwhelming, right? Now we might end up having plus students because it's a new, we are introducing the system in Chennai, right? But as it goes, we have the history talking for ourselves, right? 2 years of experience, 2 years of data, right? So that might invite more people to this beautiful culture, right? So it was an optimistic question, how we are going to handle that. But I think I totally agree that not to have too much of people in one classroom, instead have limited so that we can focus on that individual attention. I totally agree that. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
What you say is very true. That's what is happening in our Hyderabad Gurukulam. The second year, we see an overwhelming response based on the reviews of the first year. So as I told you, it's just an organic process. There is no cap as such. But what he meant is that it would not be herds of children, herds of students coming in. That's what he. We'll take one or two more questions and then probably we'll wrap up this session.
Namaste.
I'll just take a question. Just a minute, Lakshmi ji. Will 7-year-old Hindi speaking child be able to follow in?
I have just 2 more questions.
Okay. Will 7-year-old Hindi speaking child be able to follow in English class? I would say that within a few months, the child would also be able to understand English. since it's only 7 years, I do expect that many children of that age group are more familiar with their Matrubhasha and this thing. I think the child will be able to easily manage. But as Ramesh sir said, since we have a few months until the school starts, be it Sanskritam or English, some onboarding can be done so that some familiarization happens. Abhinaya has a question.
Namaste ji. Actually, my job is transferable, but I would always wish to continue in the same school. In that case, if I get transferred to some other place, will I be able to get a TC from this current school?
The only
If I'm
certificate, of course, we can give a letter. We can give a letter from the institution, but the only the only certificate that you have is in terms of the open schooling certificate, depending on the exams that the child writes. So that would be the certificate that the child will carry.
Okay. And one more question is, can I observe any lifestyle change for my child, for example, in terms of food, something like
Absolutely,
that?
absolutely. It will be, because it's all inbuilt into the content and pedagogy. You would see that a lot of input will go on into those aspects.
Thank you.
Lifestyle, self-denial.
Thank you.
I have two questions, ma'am. Can I ask now?
Sure.
Yeah. Regarding the subjects that you mentioned, arts, crafts, and music, I would like to know more about it. Means what sort of it, and if it is a music, like what sort of music? Is it vocal or instrumental? Arts and crafts, I would like to know.
Initially, it would start mainly with bhajans and singing the various simple songs. But eventually, Mylapore, this being located in Mylapore, we'll try to rope in at least vocal for vocal. It would be there. All these will be added as we progress in the in time. And with respect to art and craft, the idea will be an integrated approach to the whole thing. So learning the various subjects itself through the medium of art. For example, in some of our Gurukulams, we have had crafts in terms of preparing, say, a yagya kundam with materials available, creating bows and arrows of various things, creating various astras of the devatas, or a puppet show based on the life of Hanuman. So like this, we have been integrating various arts within the subjects they study. It will not be a standalone thing as of now. But once the school starts, as somebody was sharing about an optimistic view, there will be a lot of resources that will be pulled into ensure that the child has exposure to the diverse things. And of course, playing Indian games will be a very core aspect of the Vidyalayam. But the focus as of now will be this IKS learning together with the values and all, not cramming them with too many things. Arts, music, everything will be seen as integrated with the whole thing in terms of bhajans or simple drawings and paintings and other things.
Okay. Ma'am, Tamil is a subject here in the going to be new Vidyalayam, but how about that at Anadi Foundation, Parini, ma'am? Is it there? Is it taught?
No, it is not a subject here because we have children from all states here, but they learn to speak Tamil, but they don't study it as a subject.
Okay, in any Gurukulam, actually, the regional language is also given utmost importance. Like when we see different Gurukulams, even in other states also. So, do you have any plans of including Tamil also as a subject in Parani?
Not immediately, maybe, but here in the Madras Sanskrit College, for sure, Tamil is an important part. So, if there are no further questions, we can close here. Ramesh sir, you want to invite anybody to speak at the end?
I think we've covered pretty much everything. Only requesting everybody to fill out the forms so that we don't lose your contact. That's the main objective, is that we are in constant dialogue with you in terms of your questions and comments, so that we can factor that into the school. But I request everyone to come to the March 16th open house. There I will share some of our infrastructure plans. I think we are sitting with an architect and we are coming up with some suggestions on how to kind of change the structure available in the school. So maybe you will see some of that in person when you come to our open house. March 16th,
And in the
9:30 to 12:30.
yeah. And open house is, you have to be right from the start. It's not a walk-in and walk-out open house. It means that you will be there from the start of the program to the end of the program, where the whole thing will be explained and you can interact with the teachers and ask questions and all that. So please be, and also come with the child, because we have planned some sessions parallelly for the children as well to be engaged as part of the open house. Any extension of the timing is expected. We don't know. As of now, it is still 3.
Ma'am, one question is about the logistics. When can we know about the confirmation of the admission? Because we have to enroll the kids for the next school year. So
Correct.
when can we expect a confirmation of admission?
Post March 16th, we will try to speed up the confirmation as early as possible, ma'am. We will not make it inconvenient for the people who attend. So to that extent, we will see to it that we confirm it as early as possible. Meeting the child is important on that day. That's the important.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So thank you all for your enthusiastic participation and great response. And we hope to meet you all as part of the open house, in-person open house, where we can have further interactions and you can also get to look at the campus. Namaste.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Ram, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.